The elites don't seem to want this pandemic to end. Opposition politicians and frontbench Tories salivating at the idea of more restrictions. The media, who have been signed up to the cosy COVID consensus since day one, and based upon their questions at those enraging press conferences, always want measures to be longer, harder and tougher. And sage scientists, especially their paramilitary wing, Independent Sage, would likely lock us down forever. These people have got a taste for control, and they don't want to give it up. I'm honestly thinking that there must be some kind of master plan to keep this going forever. You've got Professor Sarah Gilbert, creator of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, who has warned a future virus could be worse than the current one. So let's just run that by ourselves again. A future virus could be worse than the current one. So are we now worrying about a virus that doesn't even exist yet? Do we not have enough problems? I mean, what other things that don't exist should we start to be worried about? The Loch Ness Monster? The simultaneous orgasm? Or what about Tottenham winning the Premier League? Not in my lifetime. Now, I really enjoyed the GBNews breakfast show this morning, presented, of course, by the brilliant Isabel Webster and our brand new super signing Stephen Dixon. Except I nearly spat my cornflakes out when they interviewed this chap, a professor of, yes, you guessed it, behavioural science, who thinks that children wearing masks is good training for the future. Take a listen.
Wearing masks is good for two reasons. One of them, of course, that it's a protection to them. The other one is that perhaps mask wearing is likely to be something that is repeated. Not just, it just isn't something that's just important now, but it's something that's important in the future. And in some sense, children are learning a new skill.
Children are learning a new skill of wearing masks so they can do it in the future. You see, it's not a conspiracy, it's policy. The narrative is clear, but it doesn't end there. Take a look at this.
I think of masks as being a bit like wearing a hat when there's cold weather. But the difference is that when there's cold weather out, there's something there telling you to wear the hat. When there's an infectious disease around, there's nothing telling us to wear that.
That's better. I feel so much safer, and I think I look pretty fabulous too. Masks forever. Lockdowns every winter. Work from home orders as standard. Socially distanced forever. Medical passes for access to basic services and freedoms. And the state injecting your body whenever they see fit. Now, there is a whiff of evil about behavioural science. For 2 years, we've been nudged, prodded, cajoled, bullied, gaslit, silenced and shamed by these white-coated COVID evangelists. Susan Michie, for example, sage advisor and member of the Communist Party, a woman so left-wing she makes Jeremy Corbyn look like Norman Tebbit, influencing our pandemic response. The country isn't being run by Boris or Rishi or Liz or Dominic. It's being run by these cranks who, in my view, are seeking to change the nature of society forever. Kids wearing masks is good training for the future. Give me strength. These people want us to live under state control in a sanitised, sterile environment where there can be no germs or viruses, no risk, no danger, and therefore no pleasure, no spontaneity, jeopardy or joy. Danger, peril and risk are the very essence of life itself. COVID is now an industry, and the media, politicians, scientists and, of course, the pharmaceutical companies are active participants in it. Well, it's time to smash their business model. Predictions about the virus have so often been wrong throughout the pandemic, but this junk modelling has shaped policy and wrecked and cost lives. And yet, the likes of Professor Neil Ferguson, a man who couldn't predict that night follows day, is back. And he's back like a particularly stubborn case of chlamydia. Him and his buddies are now predicting up to 10,000 hospitalisations a day from Omicron. Now, let's hope that doesn't happen. Of course, anything is possible, except this doomsday scenario appears to be stretching it, given that there are no reported cases of a death anywhere in the world from Omicron. The infection fatality rate from Omicron is currently lower than the collective IQ of Little Mix. So why is there this perpetual pessimism? Well, because the pandemic is a business for these people, an industry, a way of life. There have been protests, once again, all over the world against COVID passports, including in the capital, London. The public have had enough. There is a new variant of concern that Sage and the government should really worry about. Common sense. People's voices and democracy, that's what's going to count. When it's finally accepted that the vaccine is great for severe illness and hospitalizations, but not a huge amount else, all of this madness will collapse like a house of cards. We will accept, wretched as it is, that this virus isn't going anywhere. It will infect who it wants to infect, virus gonna virus. And it looks like Omicron will get in more people than Mick Jagger in his heyday. Government interventions around the world have been far more damaging than a virus ever could. But the virus will teach us the ultimate lesson. Life goes on. And amen to that.